The man-child in your life is not the only person his family made. He came with a counterpart, someone who grew up too fast, took on what he wouldn't, and became the capable one. They were shaped by the same house, by the same parents, in the same years. They just received opposite instructions. This isn't a story about one person who failed to grow up. It's a story about a system that needed one person not to, so that another one would. If you have ever been the capable one, the one people lean on, the one who holds things together, the one who finds the idea of someone else handling things both appealing and vaguely threatening, what I'm about to say is at least partly about you too, not just about him. By the end of this, you'll understand exactly what kind of family produces both of these people, and why they almost always find each other. There is a specific kind of man who is perpetually almost there, almost ready, almost settled, always between the job he currently has and the one he actually wants, between the apartment he's in and the life he's working toward, between who he is today and who he keeps intending to become. He is not lazy in the way people usually mean that word. He has ideas, sometimes brilliant ones. He is often charming, warm, easy to be around. He is usually well-liked, sometimes even admired. But there is something in him that simply will not land. Carl Jung had a name for this. He called it the puer aeternus, Latin for the eternal boy, the psychological figure of a man who remains at some fundamental level in the world of possibility rather than the world of consequence. In that world, you can always start tomorrow. Commitment feels like the closing of doors. The loss of options feels more threatening than the failure to take any of them. The puer aeternus is not a moral failing. It is a psychological structure, a way of being organized around a self that never fully formed. Here is the part that changes everything. He didn't choose it. The man who never grew up was not born this way. He was placed here. And the place he was placed was a specific family, with a specific dynamic, and a specific role that was assigned to him before he was old enough to refuse it. Think about the man who fits this description, the one you know, or the one you've been close to, or possibly yourself. Picture him at 35. Now ask yourself, what did failure look like for him growing up? Not the dramatic kind, the quiet kind. When something went wrong at school, who made the call? When he lost a job, who absorbed the financial hit? When his choices created consequences, who was already there to catch them before they landed? That wasn't love failing him. That was a system running exactly as designed. And that system is still running in him now. There's something else about that family, something about its structure, and about who else it made that we'll come back to. Because the man who never grew up is rarely the only product his house produced. Psychologist Baumrind spent decades studying the long-term effects of different parenting approaches, and what she found runs against almost every instinct a loving parent has. The children who struggled most with responsibility as adults were not the ones raised harshly. They were not the neglected ones. They were the children of permissive parents, raised in homes defined by high warmth, close involvement, and low expectations of accountability. Permissive parenting does not mean checked out. It often means the opposite. It means a parent so attuned to their child's discomfort that preventing that discomfort becomes the primary goal. It means calling the school when the grade is unfair, covering the rent when the job didn't work out, always having an explanation for why this particular failure doesn't count, why this one wasn't really his fault, why he deserves another chance at a softer version of the same situation. The child raised this way learns something deep and lasting. That love has no relationship to accountability. That the world will rearrange itself around him. That someone will always be there before the consequence lands. Picture the mother who still handles his administrative life at 30. The father who covered it quietly, again, because watching his son face something genuinely felt indistinguishable from cruelty. They were not trying to prevent his growth. They were trying to prevent his pain. That distinction felt important to them. From his nervous system, it produced the same result. Here is what almost no one says about this. In most families that produce this man, there is also another child, one who turned out entirely differently, who grew up fast, who took on responsibilities no child should have carried, who became the capable one, the responsible one, the one people leaned on. These two children were raised in the same house, by the same parents, and they came out opposite. That is not a coincidence. It is a system distributing its weight unevenly. The capable child absorbed what the other didn't have to carry. And the one who was never required to carry anything, never learned that he could. Understanding both of these people, why they are the way they are, and why they so often end up in the same relationships as adults, requires understanding that they were produced by the same machine, just assigned different seats inside it. The cost of what was installed in him does not show up in his life first. It shows up in whoever gets close to him, because the man who was never required to grow up does not unconsciously look for a partner. He looks for a continuation of the environment he was formed in. Someone who will hold what he won't hold, manage what he won't manage, absorb the low-level anxiety that his unfinished things generate. He doesn't do this deliberately. He does it because he has been rehearsing this arrangement his entire life. And the feeling of someone capable nearby, managing the things he isn't, that feeling is what normal has always felt like. Martin Seligman's research on learned helplessness showed something that goes further than most people realize. When an organism is consistently shielded from the consequences of its own behavior, it stops connecting effort to outcome. The nervous system does not just learn helplessness in the situation where it was installed. It generalizes. It begins to assume, across contexts, that what it does doesn't change what happens, not as a belief the person could examine and correct, as a conditioned reflex built from years of evidence. This is why pressure doesn't work on him. Not frustration, not ultimatums, not demonstrations of what is possible if he would just try. The problem is not motivation. The problem is that the environment around him keeps doing what his family did, absorbing the consequences before they reach him, which is exactly the condition under which learned helplessness was originally installed. If you are the capable one in someone's life right now, the one managing the finances, the logistics, the emotional temperature of the household, stop for a moment and notice what it feels like to read this. Not the frustration part, the recognition part, the sense that this shape is familiar, that you stepped into this role not because it was assigned to you, but because you already knew how to do it from somewhere earlier. That recognition is not incidental. The man-child and the capable one did not find each other by accident. They were trained in different houses to fit a dynamic that the other one completes. And understanding that does not mean staying in it. It means finally being able to see it clearly. The man who never had to grow up was given something that looked like love and functioned like a cage. Protection from consequences is, in the end, protection from becoming anyone. The people who built that protection were almost never cruel. They were usually the opposite, so unwilling to see him struggle, that they took from him the only experiences that actually produce a self. And the person who ends up building a life around him often carries something older than this relationship. A particular efficiency, a particular exhaustion, a particular knowledge of exactly how to hold something together. That's not a personality type, that's a formation. And it started before either of them met. Tell me, are you the capable one in someone's life right now? Or were you the one who was let off the hook? I read everyone,